How is everyone doing? I hope you all are doing well. And I hope you were able to enjoy this beautiful weather that we had this Saturday. It was so refreshing to have a break from all the Georgia rain. It was a very nice day. Okay. All right. So we're back for Saturday's Live for the After Hours version of King's Legacy Group. And remember that this platform was originally based on the weekly live on Wednesdays, which focuses on financial literacy to achieve generational wealth. So Saturdays are reserved for learning how to create the conversations that we as families, friends, and personal relationships are in need of. We need to get over the stigmatism of having honest conversation, because when you have honest conversation, it is more than likely going to be uncomfortable. So we're going to learn how to work through that. And starting this conversation begins with our children, because they are the next generation of adults. And if they don't have the efficient life skills to help them maneuver through life's circumstances and, most of all, relationships, we are one, doomed to repeat the same cycle of bad behavior. We are doomed to immersing ourselves in bad relationships, or relationships that we don't have the right skills and relationship tools to have successful relationships. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is video 2. And again, we're about approaching the hard topics that are difficult to discuss. The first 2 videos were targeting our young girls, our daughters, and our nieces. This episode tonight is targeting our sons, our nephews. So before we jump into the topic, I have to go through the normal disclaimer and introduction. Before I do that, I would really appreciate if you would take a quick second to click like and hopefully share. And at the end, I hope you are willing to make a comment. And if you'd like further information on when there are live postings, either on the financial literacy side or the personal development side, just click the subscribe button either on YouTube. And is it a subscribe button on Facebook? I don't know. I can't remember if it is, but if it is, click it. I know there's a like and a share on Facebook, but YouTube is the main platform. So please click like, share, comment, and subscribe. The full disclaimer that covers any topic that's shared on this platform, the full disclosure is listed on the website of kingslegacygroup.com. So for now, the short disclaimer: the information shared on this platform is based on my own opinions, experiences, practices, and insight into the life lessons that can help guide you through your journey. As the speaker of King's Legacy Group, because I'm the owner, I am not a licensed therapist, counselor, or psychologist. The videos are for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. You must do your own due diligence and seek professional advice when you feel the need to confirm or expand your understanding of knowledge on any topics covered on this platform. As always, remember to make smart decisions that suit your own needs based on your personal analysis. This is something that I mentioned on the first video pertaining to our daughters. So I'm just going to reiterate because it still applies to our sons. The lessons needed before adulthood start with parenting. We are the first teacher to our children. So it's all about life lessons that enable you to make better and more responsible choices. Programming our minds, our kids' minds, to do better, be better, and mastering those disciplines to avoid bad relationships that can be toxic in our well being. As parents, we are responsible to teach our kids the needed skills to maneuver through life as well as being well rounded human beings. Each parent has a specific role in influencing the development of our daughters and sons' minds. And how they learn to handle relationships will have a big effect on the wellness of them. Oh, I need to sit up. I'm going to slouch. Okay. First step, parents, we need to start having the conversations with our kids. You can decide on the age to start, but honestly, the younger, the better. If not before age 10, you really should make sure that you get started at least at age 10. And you can't be scared of empowering your child with life lessons that will have a huge impact on how they treat others and how they protect themselves. Even when it makes you uncomfortable, you need to remind yourselves why you must do this. How much, think about how much you needed these conversations when you were young. I know it was certain conversations that I wish I had had with someone. Yes, my mother did her best to teach me certain things, but her, like most parents, her lessons were straight dictation of what to do and what not to do, as opposed to talking about it, explaining it, giving examples of why, and giving examples of circumstances on how to deal with those situations. Um, so we have to get past just dictating the task without giving extended details to explain exactly how to apply that to their thought process and how to apply it to their life, either at the moment or in the future. So we have to help our kids avoid a lot of bad decisions. And any parent, just like my parent and your parents, they wanted us to be better and do better than they did. That's pretty much any good parent. That is any good parent. But we skip some of the crucial details um, to really develop the thought process on how to handle those situations. So we really must get better at that. So today's topic is, how can we expect him, which is our sons and nephews, to know any better? This episode is about our sons and nephews that are put in our care and in our path um, to help guide them with clear direction on how to develop positive relationship skills. There are expectations on both men and women to conduct themselves on different levels within a relationship, influenced by traditional teachings, social teachings, and unfortunately, mental dysfunction. So, what they learn from others and what they possibly can distort of their own within their own thought process um, dictates what and how they deal with personal relationships. What sons should see from their fathers? We expect our men, our boys, transitioning into men for manhood. We always want to say the man should lead the woman. How is this going to be accomplished when the boy has not had the proper training and a male influence, which is supposed to be their father if they're around, to show them examples? That's one thing. God have mercy. Okay. I'm sorry, I was distracted. Oh, I had mentioned this in the previous video pertaining to our daughters. A and it's usually said that a mother can't teach their son to be a man. That's a lie. A mother can teach her son of how to be a man, but a man needs to show a son how to be a man. That's that verbal and visual connection. The mother is the verbal, the man is the visual, the father is the visual, and those combined help develop a young boy into manhood. I got lucky with my three sons. A lot of things came into play on how I decided to raise my sons. Their fathers were not present. So, yes, I took on the role of mother and father. And I don't need nobody to clap back talking about I can't be no father figure. Get over yourself. That means taking on the added responsibility of the process of raising a son. Did I need and want their fathers to be present and be better fathers? Of course. But I didn't have the time to sit around and complain or cry about that. I had to do what I had to do. I didn't put energy into hating them because I believed they were going to suffer those consequences in dealing with their child as they got older. I never talked bad about any of their fathers in front of them because I don't put effort towards negative energy. Yeah, I could have my private moments of being angry and crying myself to sleep or stressing about doing things on my own, but my mama didn't raise no punk. And I had her as a single mother as an example on handling my business and taking care of my children. My mother wasn't even what we would like to consider a traditional grandmother. She really didn't become a grandmother until I had my daughter Kayla, which is my fourth child. My mama was she was like, I'm not babysitting your kids and all that stuff. And that was the right thing to do. It wasn't her responsibility to babysit my kids when I had to go to work or go to school or whatever the case may be. I laid down and had those kids. Um, so, I mean, aside from probably teaching me how to change a pamper when I first came home with my first son, Brian, that was about it. Other than that, I learned everything on my own and what she had already instilled in me as a um, young girl, and watching her be a strong Black woman. I had a good basis to start with, but I'm not going to say that it was easy being a single parent, but I took a lot of my life lessons, my bad choices, my traumas, and I used those to help develop me to be the woman I became and the mother that I um, started out as until now. I haven't changed. Um, being a mother is a proud title that I am honored to have. I don't regret being a teenage mother. Um, I don't care what other people think about that. You can kiss my butt. That has no impact on me because I did what I was supposed to do to be a mother. Now, taking on the role of some fatherly duties as a single mother. Although I had to nurture my children, um, I also was a friend to my children. I was the disciplinary person to my children. I was so many other roles to my children that some of those roles that are expected to be handled by their fathers, um, I didn't have that to rely on. So that's what we mean by as mothers taking on the role of dad. It's not about us trying to be men. Y'all need to learn to listen and comprehend sometime when y'all hearing stuff. Um, so yeah, I had to be a lot of things, and I had to be more than what was expected as any single parent. Whether that single parent is a mother or a father, you are taking on a double role. Because being parents, you're supposed to share the responsibility of being parents, and that's not always the case. So I was blessed with the kids that God gave me, with the spirits that God gave them for me to be their mother. Um, my children have turned out to be wonderful human beings. My boys, whether, and these conversations that I'm bringing up on this platform, I had these conversations with my kids. They may not remember all of them, but actually they do because their subconscious remembers. That's why they are who they are now. But I started conversations with my boys. Um, I think the first conversation I had about sex with my boys, and don't quote me on the age, but we were at the drive-in movie, Starlight Drive-In, Moreland Avenue. Woo woo. Anyway, I think at the time Brian was my oldest. He was probably 9 or 10. So Sherrod is 2 years younger, and Mason is, after the second we stopped counting, y'all. So I think 4 years younger than Sherrod. So, but anyway, that first conversation at the drive-in, because there was a problem with the movie playing, so it was like a 20-minute delay. So I was like, let me have a conversation with them about sex. Of course they boys. I done caught them, playing with themselves and stuff, and ejaculating and all that stuff. So that's just part of growing up. Although I cringed, but I understood. So um, that first conversation honestly was about um, them liking a little girl. And I gave them a scenario. And the scenario was, let's say you like this little girl and y'all start getting feelings of wanting to kiss and all that stuff and feel on each other and may even lead to sex. I'm not saying at 10 years old. I'm just saying as they grow, they're going to have feelings about certain things. Whether they do it, that's something totally different. But again, starting the conversation. So anyway, the scenario was, let's say this little girl that they like, um, and they start spending time together, whether at school or at a school function or whatever encounter that they may incur. Let's say that they get to the point of wanting to have sex. Again, I'm not talking about them having sex at age 10. So just stay with me. But this is to explain how they need to be careful. The young girl has family at home, mother, father, close-knit family, uncles, male cousins. And let's say the uncle just so happens to be molesting the young girl. Well, I won't say young because if I keep saying young, y'all gonna think I'm talking about 10-year-olds having sex. That the girl is being molested by her uncle, grown man, and this little girl, she's already been exposed to um, the physical aspect of sexual feelings. So she's not shy about showing that same affection to one of my sons. Now, let's say it transitions into sex. You don't know if that young girl, from being molested by her uncle, has a STD, has a disease that can't get rid of, has given her an infection, which that could be chlamydia or also STD. Anyway, she has transmitted it to one of my sons. So, or even if, let's say, even if not the uncle, it could be one of the male cousins that's a little older that no one gave a conversation to about incest. Um, that's another story too. We got to talk to our nephews and nieces about, and actually it should be a full family conversation. The parents, the nieces, the nephews, everybody. There needs to be a full family conversation because we can't ignore the fact that kids have sexual feelings. Just because they have those feelings don't mean that they are wrong, but they need to know what to do and what not to do, what's allowed and what's not allowed, what's inappropriate, what's appropriate. We got to have the conversations. I don't know why y'all want to pretend like this stuff doesn't happen. Um, so me talking to my boys was giving them situations, and the point of the conversation was, don't assume that you know everybody that you deal with on an intimate basis. You don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know how honest they are capable of being with you with their life situation or what their traumas are. Um, so yes, we got to start having the conversations. And if we are expecting our young boys to grow up to be men that should be leading the woman that they are with, if y'all want to follow the Bible, but 90% of y'all ain't practicing what the Bible actually says. But anyway, if y'all want to use that to fall back on. Um, we have to give our young boys the information, the tools to maneuver through life, and the skill set to deal with these situations in life. They can't lead somebody and they don't even know how to have a healthy mental or stable thought process to even lead anybody else. Um, we want to place these roles on men and women, but ain't nobody teaching the damn men and women, the young girls and young boys, on how to be men and women. Because y'all want to skate through life and figure if it's not discussed, then they don't have to deal with it, or they won't ever deal with it. Or as a parent, you don't have to face the situation because you assume they won't ever be exposed to it. Even if they are living in a decent household and being raised by good parents or a good parent, they can still be exposed amongst their peers. And we all know if you don't have a strong mindset of any age, you're going to be easily influenced. So, how much are you going to put, how much worth are you going to put on your daughter or son being able to not be influenced by others? Because I'm also saying most of y'all don't even know who your kids are. You don't even know them as a person. Y'all forget we created these little beings, but they're human beings with the same feelings and ideas and that you and we had ourselves. How do you think they are exempt to those things? You think just because they see you struggle as a single mom, or see the dynamics of the family um, workings, is going to be enough to prepare them for life and to be responsible human beings? We sit down and talk about the most frivolous, irrelevant content and don't put forth real time and effort to have the hard discussions on serious topics with our kids. I don't, I never hid anything from my kids. For example, and I had this discussion with a friend of mine, and we actually stopped talking a little while after that because their opinion of me letting my kids see certain movies that I was exposing them to do those things. My philosophy was I would rather my kids be introduced to situations or information while I'm present. And as I'm present, I would explain, I would allow them to honestly ask questions and we speak on the topic. For example, if it was a movie and it was a girl, I mean a woman being brutally raped, why not use that as an opportunity for discussion? Not saying that your son would rape someone, or it could be a conversation to talk about how most women are abused. So it's not just being stuck on the topic of rape, but you could use that as an opportunity to open up conversation that could lead to explanation of other possibilities in life. What if your son has a sister? That information can also help that son grow up to be a protector of the women in his family. I mean, it's so many scenarios that can be brought up. Let's say you got a son and a daughter and they're teenagers and they go out to a party. You need to talk about the what ifs on the son side and the daughter side. Even talking to your daughter, and I've done this with Kayla. Let's say something happened and someone tried to molest her. But I didn't keep my daughter exposed like that to, that's another story too. That's for us, that's a story towards, especially towards the mothers that expose their kids to situations to where they can be molested by a family member, boyfriend, or family friend. That's another topic. But again, using those opportunities to explain. So if I let my kids watch something on a movie and it was explicit, I'm not going to tell them to cover their eyes or cover their ears. After the movie, I'm going to bring it up so we can talk about it. Do you understand what happened, why it happened, what you need to do in a situation like that? I've had conversations with Kayla. If anybody tried to molest her, this is what you should do. This is what you can. I give you permission to say. This is what you need to do to get away. And in the event that you can't, this is what you do afterwards. Why not talk to your child about that? You're not, what's the word? You're not wishing anything bad to happen, but you're preparing your child for if it does. And that's not one conversation. Even when Kayla and I, like, I love horror movies, and my mom, that's one thing we used to enjoy together, watching horror movies. And I don't shield Kayla from that either. But when we do, let's say if it was a movie and there was some relationship abuse, I would start conversations with Kayla after the movie to discuss, what do you think should have happened? From this point to this point, what do you think she should have done? What do you see of a man that does that? How would you get out of that situation or that relationship? Whether that be coming to me, your dad, one of your brothers, whatever the case may be. It's so many aspects of that that can be discussed. You can't shield your kids from life, even when it comes to drugs. Now, I've had these conversations with my boys, of course. And years later, one of my sons shared with me that he had tried weed. It wasn't for a long period of time. He tried it, didn't like it, didn't understand why anybody did it. But although I wanted to hit him upside the head when he did tell me, but I appreciated him telling me when he was an adult that he experienced that as a teenager. And that was when he was hanging around a boy that I made him stop hanging around. So during that time that they were friends, that's when he was exposed to it. I won't say which son, because I don't want to embarrass him in case he watches later. But when my son came to me and told me that he wanted to have sex for the first time, yes, my stomach dropped. But I had to silence myself for a minute and remember, okay, this is what you taught him to do, so you can't jump on him for doing that. I had a talk with him and the girl. I knew who my son was. I applauded them for coming to me before they did anything. And you know what I did next? I went to the store and bought everything. And I gave it to him. I even gave her a card. I went and bought her a card for this being her first time. And that card pretty much said, I know that this is your first time. You waited for someone that loves you. And I promise you that your first time will not be a regret because of the young man my son is growing to be. So yeah, that freaked me out, but I had to work with what I had to work with, especially being a single parent. Don't care whether you agree with that or not, but that was what I did back then. Because I have always told my kids, you can come to me and talk to me about any and everything, no matter what it is. I'm always here for you to talk to me about anything, even if it's something that makes me uncomfortable. And that's another problem that we as parents need to correct. If we don't encourage our kids to believe they can trust us, trust in our judgment, give them advice that will be fair and logical, and that they are in a safe environment to communicate whatever's on their mind with you. They're going to, if not, they're going to get it from other people that are going to give them the bad advice or influence them in the negative direction. So, yeah, as a single parent, I had to take on the role of a lot of different things because I was a single parent. So, yes, I got lucky for the wonderful human beings that my children have turned out to be, and my daughter who's turning out to be. Even with my name, my first name that was given to me by my mother, well, by my second dad, which is the man my mom married when she was pregnant with me. They chose a Nigerian name out of a Nigerian book, and my name is pronounced Neka, and it means mother of greatness. Once I learned about my name, where it originated from, what it means, um, from the Igbo tribe, I took that as a sign of what kind of mother to be. That validated how I raised and the decisions I made to raise my kids. That's another reason why I hate when people name their kids these ridiculous names that have no meaning and value and don't think about them in the future with those names. Yeah, so I really believe in picking names that, yeah, but that's another topic also. So, what sons should see from fathers? The time that a father puts into building a relationship with their son has a heavy weight. Creating the conversations that help your sons understand they can trust you with their thoughts and their feelings. They can trust you to direct them in a positive light to grow to be a good human being. So, just being a parent is not just about financially taking care of your child. The time you invest in your child. Just like the time you invest when you're in an intimate relationship with a partner, a woman, a wife, a fiance, whatever the case may be. The time that you invest in that relationship, that shows the level of love, the level of respect, the level of commitment, the level of devotion to that person's well-being. That carries a heavier weight more than anything else in building a relationship with another person. A father needs to give examples of practical life skills with the explanation of cause and effect discussion. You can't give parts of a discussion and not give all of it. Because these young minds are being developed, they have to understand how it relates to life, how it can relate to their life. So just saying the words, son, you should never put your hands on a woman. Yeah, to us, that's an obvious understanding, but to them, it's not. You got to expand that explanation. You should never call out a woman a name, their name. Y'all know what I mean, bitch, hoe, heifer, all that stuff, especially in midst of argument. But keep in mind, if the son is not seeing you exhibit the same habits, how can you tell them to do otherwise? You have to lead by example. So this is not just about the sons and nephews. I'm talking to the fathers too. And it's never too late to change your bad habits. That's something your son can see. There's no way to absolutely avoid mistakes. But how you handle those mistakes determines the person you are to be. And our sons and our daughters, they need to see their parental examples as part of the development, on them understanding what they will and won't accept in life circumstances, or how to deal with those life circumstances. Fathers need to establish a deep life conditions that, again, has been seen by the father living a life of what they're teaching. Fathers need to know how to share their heart with their sons. Some women want to say, if a man is soft or shows his emotions, they're weak. First of all, that woman is weak because she can identify a heart healthy man or a mentally healthy man. So again, seeing vulnerability, if a son can see a father being vulnerable, they'll learn to identify that that's not a weakness, that's a strength of a man. That absolutely shows strength within a man, not a weakness. A son needs to see a father show respect, love, honor to their mother. That's the first lesson a son gets on how to treat a woman. A father can't be a hypocrite, do one thing and tell your son differently. And a father has to be consistent with these characteristics, with these behaviors. A son needs a father to show them how to lead. And I don't want y'all to confuse the word lead with controlling a woman. That's not what that is. I had mentioned in the previous video about being accountable when you don't step in to help someone who's in an abusive relationship, whether that be emotionally, mentally, or physically. Abuse is abuse. And I can say that I have been at fault for not doing everything that I wanted to do or should have done to protect someone that I love because they were in an abusive relationship. But it was a decision that I made because of that person continuously choosing not to choose themselves first. And when I got to the point where I was having dreams of me being killed from protecting this person, I chose to step away. And that killed my heart that I wasn't able to convince that person to love themselves first. And to know that what was being done to them had absolutely nothing to do with love at all. Um, the stories that I mentioned in the first video that I experienced those past prior 2 weeks to 3 months before, stuff like that just breaks my heart because there's so many young girls that are putting themselves in situations that they get trapped in. They don't have any family support, any mentally stable mentor they could rely on. And society is just eating our young girls and our young men up. I didn't just feel sorry for the girl that I approached in the backyard who was in that confrontation with her boyfriend. I felt bad for him too, because he obviously had no man or nobody to teach him how to treat a girl. We got too many young men have no sense of common respect of another human being. Even when I approach some young boys in the neighborhood, when I see them throwing trash or seeing them doing things they ain't got no business doing, and I say something to them, and they are so disrespectful with their responses. Yeah, part of me really want to put my hands around their neck and snatch them up and let their feet dangle off the street, and then walk them home and slap their parents for not teaching them how to talk to your elders. But of course, I can't do that because I go to jail. But that just breaks my heart. Even when I did security at Banneker High School, and there were two police officers in the high school, but they didn't have the high school under control. So a private security force was hired, and That was no organization. But once we got there, I pretty much took over and took leadership of the team that was brought in. And those kids, oh my God, I was able to accomplish a lot during that short period of time. But I even had to pull the two police officers aside. And I'm like, y'all are not here to be these kids' friends. That's why they still doing the stuff they doing. That's why the the not the tardiness, but 90% of kids that are in special ed in school, ain't nothing wrong with them kids. Not, it's different special ed, but just because they're lazy and don't want to do anything, they want to misbehave and just run wild. They pretty much just come to school just to eat breakfast and lunch because they're not getting fed at home. But the disrespect, I mean, I even had one girl, she tried me. She tried me. But I know that the kids would secretly record stuff to get someone in trouble. But she tried me for the wrong, on the wrong day. On the wrong day, she tried me. That was the last time she said anything to me or tried me. And the teachers, they would come to me and be like, I am so grateful you are here. Because they were terrified. How can y'all kids, how can adults be terrified of these kids? They had, I don't remember what gang it was, but it was so-called Crips. Yeah, so-called Crips gang. Don't know a damn thing about what a real gang is. But anyway, that's what they were doing. They would open certain doors, access doors for gang members to come in so they could beat up on somebody, whoever they, designate to beat up on, stuff like that. So we controlled that. I was able to control the number of kids that were skipping the classrooms, and because they were supposed to go to detention if they were. I cut that down from 90% to, I say, about 45%. Every day somebody of a teacher or whoever would say, I'm doing such a good job, and they so glad that I was there. But I threaten to quit every week because I'm like, I ain't going to jail for nobody kids but mine. The principal, the principal and the assistant principal, well, the lead assistant principal, were two females. And every time I saw them, they got their hair decked out, they got their stiletto heels on. I'm like, what kind of administrator are you? So I requested to have a meeting with the school staff. And I was like, I'm going to do my job, but I need for you all to do y'all's too. Yes, I'm that outspoken. And they could take it whichever way they want to take because I'm ready to go. I threaten to quit. Now, I'm lying if I say it every week. I threaten to quit every day. Every day. They're like, please don't go. My fellow co-workers that came in with me on the team, it's like, Miss King, please don't leave us. We need you here so bad because this is just, it was ridiculous. I could tell you so much other stuff, but my last straw was one of the teachers called me to get these two boys out the classroom. And that was a headache in itself. But I got them out the classroom and they ran into the gym area, which was empty. So when we got into the gym, I radioed for my backup at that point because I wanted to get them out the gym and get them into the detention room. So this boy, he was gesturing like he was going to punch me. So I stood my ground, didn't do anything. And he did it a few times, and he kept dodging me through the gym because it was upstairs level where it goes all the way around a walk, what you call the walk trail, whatever it is. He kept dodging me. And then whenever I would get close enough to him, he would pretend like, he was going to hit me. So again, I held my ground in, defense mode just in case he didn't. But I just got fed up, and he did this gesture again, and he was getting ready to run past me. And, my I was about to clip him with it, at his neck. But I caught myself. I said, "Oh hell no, I'm gone. I'm leaving. I'm sorry." I called the security company, and I cussed them out. I said, "Y'all can have this. I'm going to be contacting the school system on y'all and the school." I'm like, I'm not going to prison for hurting nobody child, and it ain't worth it. Only person I would go to prison for or kill for are my kids. So yeah, I took my badge off and walked to my car and we even had to worry about our cars being vandalized and all. I'm like, Banneker High School, I hope y'all got y'all shit together because y'all were a hot damn mess when I was there. And ooh, Lord have mercy. Ooh. Teachers, y'all are angels, because people used to tell me all the time I need to be a teacher. Oh, no, no, no. No, no, no. I ain't being nobody teaching, nobody school. Y'all can have that crap. Because most of these kids, I would be in prison. And when nothing I can do to defend myself, because I'm going to be honest, I did what I did because that child is a hard-headed ass child. Yeah, and then when the parents would come up, because part of the controls that I put in place to get everything under control in the school was even not allowing the parents to just roam the school when they felt like it. No, you got to come sign in. You got to stay at the entry point. I will call someone to come get you for you to be escorted to go directly to the class. And the teacher needs to know that they are expecting you. Had teachers act a fool. I pulled this one parent to the side, this one female to the side who just acted a total fool. I took her back outside the front of the building, said what I had to say, and I said, "You can come back up here when you make an appointment with the teacher and the principal." Because she just acted a total fool, disregarding the rules and regulations of the school. It was so much of that. It was something every day. I really tried to stick it out, but I couldn't. I was like, no, I can't do jail. I can't do prison. No. So moving on. What time is it? Okay. I'm gonna be done in 10 minutes. Um, when a man is serious about a woman, his actions are backed by his equivalency of words. Do what you say. That's what that means. If a man doesn't do what he says, he's not serious about you. What he convinced you with in the beginning to get you hooked, that needs to be consistent throughout the entire relationship. And if it's not, you need to pay attention. The positive energy he brings to the relationship, that's a reflection of real love. His words and statements begin to include you in his future, and his words of I turns into we. Statements of consistency. The woman becomes a priority, and he wants to invest his time. A man that wants to spend time with you And again, ladies, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Y'all have common sense to know the difference between a man who genuinely wants to spend time with you as opposed to a man that is controlling of you. So don't say Nika said because he wants to spend time with me, then that means he loved me. Common sense, people. I know common sense is not so common. We got to get better at that too. When he sees the value within the relationship and the woman's worth. I'll give you an example. Let's say, now I'm not your average chick. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine who was dating someone, and he was turned off on how his girlfriend's reaction was when someone flirted with him or gave him a compliment. And we both agreed, and the agreement was, let's say, okay, if it was me and I'm with my man, and the person that has attraction for my man probably don't know that I'm his girlfriend, but I'm in the presence of him. And it could be a whole other group of people. But anyway, let's say this woman gives my man a compliment and I can hear the compliment. Instead of me going off or getting mad at him, yes, I'm going to be expecting to see what his response is. And for me, the response is, thank you. My woman thinks the same thing. Or even if he just said thank you and I overheard this woman flirting with my man, and let's say she makes a comment like, you really got some pretty eyes, or you a fine man. I'll be like, yeah, he sure is. That's why I enjoy him every night. That's me. So that's the end of that. It's no point in me getting upset. I used to, one of my men used to get upset if somebody flirted with me. He would get upset with me, even though I've already ended that and said, thank you, I appreciate the compliment. And the next question is, hey, do you have a man? I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you, though. A man that would get upset at that and they heard my response, that's a immature man that has emotional issues, dealing with their own insecurities. So yeah, if a woman approaches my man, even if I'm not there, well, not even if I'm not there, I want a relationship where I'm trusting of my man. So in my eyes, if my man values me as his woman and values our relationship, I wouldn't get upset if my man came home and told me, hey, such and such propositioned me. And I'd be like, what? And I'll be like, well, what did you say? I would expect my man that values me in our relationship to say, I appreciate you. I appreciate you saying that. That makes me feel good today. But the woman I got at home ain't worth me messing up nothing. Boy, they gonna make me love that man even more. He gonna get some that day. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. We got to have relationships that elevate us, that thrive, that's thriving, that's mature. And if we don't teach our girls and boys how to have positive relationships through life, we are doomed for a society of habitual abuse. And we can't always blame the man and the woman. because they weren't taught any. Yeah, we can blame them because as an adult, you have a choice to change who you are. Your life circumstances, your trauma and life circumstances from the past does not dictate your future. As an adult, you have a choice to develop, to grow your thought process, your actions, your feelings. If you need to get therapy, if you need to change your circle of friends, because the ones you got are not good influences. Even if you have a father that was abusive to your mother, you don't have to be like him. So I'm not. So I corrected what I said, that we can't always blame the man or woman who does the bad behavior, because as an adult, regardless of what your past was, you as an adult have a choice to change. Sorry about that. Hold on. You have a choice to change your behavior. So it's never too late to change your behavior. A man that's serious about a woman, what he expects of you as his woman, he will also give to you in return. A man that puts forth the effort in building the relationship because he honors the woman, that's a man that's serious about a woman. A proactive and positive relationship. A healthy relationship encourages conversation and understanding of his woman, and vice versa. A wholeness relationship is love of a woman like a wife before she becomes one. A peaceful relationship, a respectful, well, each other is respectful of each other's time. You're able to respect each other's individuality. Just because you're a couple does not mean you're required to be with each other every second of the day. If you want to hang out with your girls and hang out with your family, your man shouldn't be getting upset. He should be encouraging you to make sure you don't take away time from the people that you love in your life, and vice versa. Having a peaceful relationship is creating an environment of safety, learning how to communicate, and learning how to control escalation of confrontations. You can argue without being hateful and hurtful. You can have disagreements and discuss, even if you have to step away and come back to discuss, to let that escalation level decrease. So learning how to communicate, that's actually one of the hardest things in a relationship. So when two people put forth the effort to really learn how to understand each other through effective communication, that's awesome. Intimacy. Never force or control your actions, and learn how to approach sexual encounters with comfort and respect. Honor. Treat In a positive relationship, they will treat you according to your worth and to put the relationship in a special place. Finances. He is concerned about what he can do to provide for you for those future goals. Even if a man makes less than you, if he is committed to the relationship and in loving and respecting you and wants to build a life with you, hopefully you all are on the same page. So his efforts are not in vain and a waste of time. But if it's on the same page, he's going to put forth the effort to make sure he can provide for you for the future. That's a man that wants a woman. That's love, respect, commitment, devotion, honor. A toxic relationship. There are a lot of broken people. Um, and I'm talking about men and women. Women, we need to learn how to deal with our issues first before we step into a new relationship. We got to deal with our crap first before we step into a relationship. You don't need to bring your old baggage into a new relationship. You don't need to blame the new relationship guy on the stuff that the old relationship guy did to you. You got to look at each case individually, and you got to address things accordingly. But putting yourself in another relationship, and you haven't even worked on your issues, because everybody has some accountability in relationship when it's bad. It's not just one person's fault. Even if the one person is the abuser, I mean, is an extreme abuser, there's some accountability still on a woman who's dealing with that situation, and not learning to love herself and protect herself and get out of it. So there's accountability on both sides. But ways to identify and have the discussion with your son and your daughters on what toxic relationships look like. Um, the common toxic behavior is controlling and um, being a narcissist. Cheats on you, gives you STDs, lies constantly. I know people who just lie for no reason. Just lie. Do you know how much energy it takes to lie? I just, but they don't know how to do anything other than that. They just lie constantly. Put his hands on you. Um, Always dealing with verbal and emotional abuse, sexual abuse. Uses you up for that gratification, then he vanishes. Uses your weaknesses against you for his own personal gain. Continues to sabotage the relationship because of the lack of value. I mean, like always threaten to leave you if, if you don't satisfy his needs or satisfy his commands and all that stuff. And the list goes on and on. That's just enough I can fit on the slide right now, but I'll bring up the other ones later. Know the difference um, of the type of man. There are three types of men. You have a healthy man, you have a broken man, you have a toxic man. A healthy man, and the information I'm about to share with you, I got it from Bishop R.C. Blake's. I like looking at his YouTube channel. It is very informative. Again, that's Bishop R.C. Blake's. A healthy man is raised right from parents, um, or they gain divine intervention to change their ways, that mental maturity. Um, their actions are aligned when it comes with their beliefs, values, and morals. Their character is in view of his purpose and in step with his mission, that is wise enough to see his woman as an extension of himself. A broken man is produced and influenced by lack of parenting, influenced by social conditioning, and our prior bad relationships. A broken man has not resolved past challenges, which is life traumas, has conflicting thoughts, and his emotions are not aligned with his spirit, and an occurring display of dysfunctional behavior always apologizing, but they still keep doing the same thing. A toxic man is manufactured under the pressure of demonic influence. Yes, I said demonic. Social conditioning, and they have the lowest level of self-esteem and mental distortion. A toxic man is taught he should not express himself. He has a misperception of manhood, thinks that they don't need any help from anyone because they're just fine. They have a level of jealousy that can be the fuel to spark an ignition of abusive behavior. They require their ego to be fed on a regular basis. They must control everything. They are offended by the littlest thing that has no relevance. They are highly suspicious, and if what they demand is not given, then there are consequences. And again, that's quoted by Bishop R.C. Blakes. So you must learn and get the content of a man before you invest yourself fully. And I'm speaking to the women. A man can come into repentance from being a broken man. A toxic man's going to take a little bit more. Not saying it can't happen. Because like I stated before in another video, one of my children's fathers was a toxic man. But he is not that kind of man anymore. So for whatever, well, he was a mixture of a broken, well, he was a toxic man because of the physical abuse and the jealousy. But again, he was able to come out of that behavior. And it didn't have anything to do with me. But yeah, that relationship has been forgiven and mended. So I'm not saying, I would never say that no one can ever change. Because like I said, as an adult, it's a choice. And he may decide to do it for his wife, the woman that became his wife. She could have been a big part of it. Or he was just tired of doing the things that he was doing and wanted to be a better man. Again, that was a choice. And it could also have been some form of mental dysfunction that he got help with. So anyone can choose to change. But it doesn't mean that you have to sit around and wait for that man to get their stuff together. You don't continue to put yourself in jeopardy because you want to hope or see that man turn into a better man. Let him do what he got to do and come back for you later and show you he's a better man. So, where do we start? Again, we got to start with serious conversations, hopefully as early as age 10. I said 10 minutes is going on 30. Ask your son what they think and feel of their mother. This can give you an idea of your son's perception of a woman. Ask your son what he has seen of how you treat their mother and how that made him feel, whether positive or negative. Again, part of the uncomfortable conversations is allowing your child to be honest about their feelings and their thoughts. Teach your son patience and how to be mindful of his actions. Talk with your son about signs of abusive behavior in a male towards a woman. Explain these things. Teach your son chivalry and the principles of manhood. I've already talked about accountability. Principles of manhood, and it's a much longer list. I'm just going to mention 6 brief ones. Must have an allegiance to his principles and be constant in his actions of those principles. Your character must reflect in your daily actions, and this is pertaining to your integrity, your pride, and your dignity. Handle your responsibilities with purposeful intent. Be mindful of the company you keep, because this is a reflection of who you are as a man. Never diminishes others. They are able to feel empathy and see others as equals. And the last one on this episode is a man is able to apply those principles to the actions within their relationship. And again, it's a whole list of principles of manhood. This is just the first 6. So this is going to be the end of this episode. The next video next Saturday is going to be on what is a healthy man. Other videos that'll be coming up that I mentioned last week, who and how we teach them to be men must be a constant process. The relationship a male has with their mother is more important than the one with the father, because the boy's first female love is his mother. The impact that the father has over the son is the process of how to become a man. Okay? Yes, a mother can tell a boy how to be a man, but the father shows the son the steps for that visual comprehension. So this is the end of the road, and I hope that you all made the time to click like, whether on Facebook or on YouTube. I appreciate it. I hope that you found some value in the content shared today. So until next time, please take care of yourselves and know that knowledge is real power when you apply it. Again, click like, share, comment, and subscribe. I hope to see you all next Saturday for the personal side of King's Legacy Group. And Wednesday, I will be back to resume financial literacy. So I'm going to say good night. You all take care.